Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Asif Qureshi and you are watching Dr. Asif Lectures. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so that you are updated with all the latest videos. In this video, we are going to talk about a very important topic for your exam purposes. And the topic is tumor markers. Now, tumor markers have been in clinical practice for a very long time. We have a set of established tumor markers which are in practice for long decades. And you must know for your examination purposes because they give you a hint. If they talk, for example, a particular tumor marker, it should ring bells in your head that, well, maybe this is the tumor they are talking about, okay? Tumor markers, by definition, many people think that they are used for diagnosis of the condition. Well, that's not actually true. They are not recommended for primary diagnosis of any tumor. However, they give you a very good idea of how the disease is progressing, if the therapies are working or not, if the chemotherapeutic regime or the radiotherapeutic regime or the surgery, if the patient is doing well in terms of prognosis. This is where these tumor markers are basically used. Tumor markers are very important because they involve minimally invasive procedure, which means you just need a simple sample of blood. You do phlebotomy and you take the blood out and you can read the levels of these markers by normal chemical pathology analyzers. And because they are minimally invasive, you don't have to go deep in the tissues of the patient. They are very much appreciated. And there is always room for development of new tumor markers, new biomarkers. A lot of research is being done on development of new research markers. But for now, this is the textbook nomenclature and this is the textbook stuff that you need to know. Whatever I tell you now is what you need to know in your exams in today's date. I don't know about 10 years later from today or 20 years later from today. Maybe this scenario has all changed. But as of today, this is the tumor marker list that you must remember, okay? So let's talk about them. Broadly, they are divided into these 5 categories. These tumor markers can be carbohydrate antigens or cancer antigens, as you call them. They can be hormones. Many of the hormones are used as tumor markers. They may be enzymes. They may be oncofetal antigens. Now, these are antigens which are basically present in normal fetus in very high amounts, but as we progress in our life, the levels go down. But if they don't go, you should be thinking about some malignancies, okay? And there are some other molecules that you need to remember. Now, let's talk about them. As I said, this is the list that you have to remember. You cannot manage to score good in your exams without knowing and remembering this list, okay? So let's begin with the carbohydrate antigens. Major important biomarkers there. CA15-3. CA15-3, whenever you hear this, think of breast carcinoma. CA15-3 is part and parcel of breast cancer prognostic evaluation, okay? So CA53 in breast cancer, CA19 in pancreatic cancer, and CA125 in ovarian cancer. Now, many people use different mnemonics to remember this. For example, CA19, there is a 9 sound, 19, and then there is a pancreas, and pancreas. So you can remember that way, you can find your own way. I'm not a mnemonic guy because at the end of the day, if I use mnemonic for a lot of things, then it's a big list of mnemonics, and then I have to have a key of mnemonics so that I remember what is the mnemonic for which mnemonic and for which mnemonic and for which pathway. So I just don't go with the mnemonic stuff. In medical education, whenever you are studying things, there are 2 sort of stuff. One, where you have to remember things. Okay, this is a fact that I need to remember. For example, there are 4 chambers in your heart. You need to remember that. For example, there are that much bones in your body. You need to remember that. But then there are some understanding mechanisms, physiology, biochemistry, pathology, medicine. This is where you need to then integrate the facts that you acquired by remembering, and then you integrate them to make the story out for the patient, okay? So this is sort of the simple fact learning thing, okay? And this is a useful tool when you integrate a cancer scenario. So in the next video, when I will be talking about how to approach a cancer patient, we will discuss these biomarkers. So remember for now, CA15-3 is indicative of breast cancer, CA19 is for pancreatic cancer, CA125 is for ovarian cancer. Now there are also a lot of hormones, ACTH particularly. Whenever you think ACTH levels are very high, you should be actually thinking about a lot of problems associated with adrenals or from the higher centers, but always think about lung cancer as well, okay? We will discuss this when we do the cancer approach patient videos upcoming very soon, okay? Now, beta-HCG has been seen elevated in choriocarcinoma, germ cell tumors, and lung cell, calcitonin, thyroid cancer. Which particular thyroid cancer? Medullary thyroid cancer, and also in the Men's syndrome, because medullary cancers are part of Men's syndromes, okay? Insulin levels are very high in a tumor, insulinoma, it makes sense. Serotonin, carcinoid tumors, and catecholamines in pheochromocytoma. So, there are several enzymes as well. Alkaline phosphatase, for example, in bone and liver metastasis. So whenever bone and liver cells are disturbed, releases a lot of alkaline phosphatase. Enolase, neuroblastoma, prostatic specific antigen and phosphatase in prostatic cancer and also in BPH, okay? Now, oncofetal proteins, germ cell tumor alpha fetoprotein and CEA levels, carcinoembryonic antigen levels in GI tumors, colorectal cancer, for example, also in anorectal carcinoma, also in stomach carcinoma, and also in breast cancer, okay? And the other molecules are ERPR HER2 for breast cancer, LDH1 for testicular thyroglobulin for papillary and follicular thyroid carcinoma. Remember, this LDH1 is now in, the thyroglobulin is now in papillary and follicular, but in medullary, it was calcitonin, okay? That's how you differentiate, and chromogranin for neuroendocrine tumors. Now, I know this is a lot of remembering stuff, but that's how medicine is. I told you in this video that in medicine, you have to remember some facts, and by remembering those facts, those factual values, you use those facts to integrate the scenario and reach to the right diagnosis and help the patient. This is something like this. You know what is the normal sodium level? So you need to remember that normal sodium levels. So that's a fact that you need to remember. And because you remember the normal sodium levels, you can then interpret that what happens if sodium levels is too low, say for example 100, or too high, say for example 160, what is the interpretation? So the remembering bit in medical education is there, and you just can't help it, okay? So this is one of those things where you have to remember a lot of things, and you have to park them in your memory disk up there in your brain. And this, I can assure you, is not the waste of memory space, because this is very high yield. They ask this a lot in examination. They talk about this a lot in examinations, okay? So remember the list, highly recommended, and this will be very helpful when we discuss the next videos where we talk about how to approach different cancers. You will understand the role there. Till then, good luck remembering all these. And if you like the video, please share the video, subscribe the channel, and I will be back with more videos of your interest. Thank you very much.